All righty, thank you everybody, and good after morning. First and foremost, welcome back to City Hall, and thank you for being here as we swear in the newest members of our Civilian Review Board. I also like to extend my great thanks to our partners in this work. I know Director Watkins, ma'am, you should be over here, is here today. Thank you very much for being here. And now to the most important people in the room. I want to thank all of our individuals here and extend my congratulations to Darren Rogers, Priscilla Batten, Aaron Maybin, Shannon Harris, and Ronnie Brown, who will be sworn into as today as members of the Civilian Review Board. Your willingness to serve is not only commendable, but essential for the continued progress in our city. And by volunteering your time, I want to remind you this is a free 99 job, so thank you very much. And your expertise, you exemplify the spirit of civic duty and community engagement that lies at the heart of our great city. But we know that your example doesn't stand alone. Oh, sorry, I'm going to stop talking for a second. You good, man?
Thank you, sir.
Yep. But your experience and example doesn't stand alone. It's really an open invitation for all of us to step up and get involved. Whether you're passionate about education, public safety, environment, or wherever, there is a board or commission that aligns that aligns itself and consider joining one of those boards. Is truly one of the best ways to become an active participant in shaping the future of our city. And even if that isn't a board here, it could be a community. I know I enjoyed my time on my community association board before they kicked me off when I became elected, because we have a no elected officials rule, but it's some of the greatest times of serving that I have. The task before you all is not an easy one. As you know, the CRB is responsible for investigating complaints against police officers related to abuse, abusive language, false arrest, false imprisonment, harassment, and the use of excessive force, and I'm confident that you all will handle that task with the utmost integrity and respect for those who report wrongdoing on the part of any police officers. But know that you are not in this work alone. You all are joining an ecosystem now of police accountability, which include the Police Accountability Board and Administrative Charging Committee, all of which is housed under the Police Accountability Division of the Office of Equity and Civil Rights. The work of police reform and accountability is ongoing and far from over, but with dedicated individuals like you all being sworn in today, I am confident that we continue to make progress to a more just city for all. And with that, I will ask you all the question that I ask everybody before they take the oath. Are you sure that you want to do this for free? Because once you raise your hand, that's it. Anybody have any? I didn't think so with this group, so I just want to be sure. So everyone, raise your right hand. All right, when I say aye, and then you all at once will say your names, and then we'll go from there. Are we ready? All right. I,
Darren Rogers,
do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and that I will
that I will
be faithful and bear true allegiance
be faithful and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland,
to the state of Maryland,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
member of the Baltimore City Civilian Review Board,
member of Baltimore City Civilian Review Board,
according to the Constitution of Maryland
according to the Constitution of Maryland
and the laws of Baltimore City.
and the laws of Baltimore City.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we will begin signing. Mr. Rogers, you are up first, sir. Right there. Yeah. Rogers, that's for you.
Thank you.
Man, you're right there. Yep. Congratulations, man. Oh, you go to the back, over.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. This is for you. Mr. Maybin,
Yes, sir.
this is the NFL Hall of Fame. You're a Hall of Famer in my book.
I appreciate it.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
I know you always wanted a marble colored pen, so
Always.
Thank you.
yours. Thank you very much. Last but not least, sir. Batten, thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. There you go. All right, before we take pictures with these fine folks, do we have any questions from our friends in the media? We'll start, yeah, Mackenzie, we'll start with you and go around.
Okay. Where are Two things. One, I wanted to ask you about the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council meeting that was held a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Monday, I think it was.
Or yesterday, yeah.
Tuesday, yeah, earlier this week. Looking at the minutes from the meeting itself, there was a diversionary program discussed for first-time offenders accused of stealing a car, specifically for the age group of 18 to 20. Can you explain the thought process behind that and how a diversionary program for that age group, not juveniles, would ensure there is accountability for the crime committed?
Well, I think that, as you know, this is something being discussed by the entire group. I think that what our partners and some of the folks that work in the court, the police, some of the other folks think that we could create, so we have diversionary programs for adults for other things, for these folks that would allow us to have that community-based accountability that will get these folks back on the right path. Now, whether we actually do it or not, as you know, it's still being discussed. But I think when you're talking about now, when you're seeing the car thefts go down, but you're also seeing, as you see, because I know you look at them, the rest of more people who are not young people, but younger people who are not technically youth anymore, we have to have a focus there. And I think that we've seen that we can lead the way in creating things that work and basing it on creating all levels of accountability. But as we work through that with our partners, because nothing discussed in the CJCC, nothing comes out of CJCC. It's not just me saying it. It's not just the state's attorney saying it. It's not just the sheriff's office or the public defender or whoever, DJS. We all agree on these things, which is what makes them so powerful, that nothing comes out of there that just one person wants to do. And if the group decides to move with this, we will have, of course, a scorecard and those kind of things to make sure that we are diverting people who actually should be diverted versus holding folks accountable in a different way who should meet that. So I would just say, Mackenzie, come back to us and we'll allow the great staff work to happen between BPD, the state's attorneys, our folks that work in the court, to come back to us as the principals to say whether they think we should go forward with it or not, or whether they have another solution to dealing with the problem. But while we do that, we're going to still do what BPD continues to do, and that's drive down auto thefts in the city by making arrests and turning folks over to the partners in the state's attorney's office, but also letting these folks know that, like, hey, there's a better way for you to live your life, and we're going to provide those opportunities, because we have to understand that true accountability for these things is not just simply locking people up and throwing away the key. True accountability is community-based accountability on making sure that their folks are working in their community and understanding how they should be a better part of their community. And we're going to continue to do all of that as we try to solve crime in Baltimore for the long term and not just in the immediate sense.
When it comes to, really quick on the investigations relating to the current and former Safe Streets workers who were involved in shootings over the last 30 days or so. We've asked BPD for information regarding the investigations. They're telling us that they can't provide any information because it's ongoing. Do you have any details on what actually happened, and when do you expect the public to know more information about those incidents?
I think that we'll treat this case, our detectives treat this case like we do any case when someone's shot, right? I think we have to understand and respect that, because what we're not going to do is put public details about something for a case that will prevent us from actually arresting people who are shooting people in our city. And we understand that for you all, just because it's a Safe Streets worker, it might have a higher sense of urgency, but for me, a person got shot in Baltimore, and that's all that matters. And we're going to follow the lead of the people who are the professionals who do this every single day and allow them to say, okay, this is when we need to push more information out because we don't want to risk any part of that case.
Can the investigation happen if the Safe Streets workers who were there aren't working with BPD?
It's investigations happen all the time, but without witnesses, whether it's a BPD worker, a Safe Streets worker, someone working in a barber shop, right? We have ways of solving cases. You see us solve cases where there were no witnesses. So we'll be able to do that work. We have great detectives and they'll do that work.
Thank you.
Here, Scott, how you doing?
What's up, sir?
You may have answered this already. I was out on leave. I just had a second daughter.
Oh, well, congratulations, sir.
Thank you so much. I mentioned that because this last story I did was through Big Naraja. He was representing Ronald Silver's family outside City Hall. He had said as far as the hiring of the DC-based law firm, that's what guilty parties do in cover-up mode. Do you have any involvement as far as the hiring of this firm? Can you talk about that a little bit in response to that?
Well, I don't respond to that gentleman at all, ever. I'll say that what we do here in the city of Baltimore is in the best interest of our residents, of our workers. We're going to work with the union as we have been through all of this to make sure that we have the best policies and practice in place to make sure that not only that something like that doesn't happen again, but also that we are improving systems, as you heard from the union directly, that have been broken for longer than Brandon Scott's been an elected official.
Mayor, having said that, what is your message to the community about today's hot weather, and what is the city doing to mitigate that?
Well, yeah, thank you for the question, Lisa. You saw that we put out, if the temperatures get to a certain point, we will call folks back in. We of course are providing the water, the Gatorade, the things that we provide for those folks. And while they're out doing their routes, we understand that, listen, this is work. Obviously, everyone else wants their trash and recycling things to be picked up, but we have to do whatever we can to protect the workers. And I think it's also important to note that we're now having hotter years and temperatures than we've ever had, right? So we have to be reminded of that as we move forward and looking at all of these things. And this is coming from someone who spent his youth putting air conditioners on roofs in the summertime, right? And that was hot then, 20 years ago. And we know the temperatures have risen in the city. We're doing everything that we can to protect our workers, including, as we put out last night, if we need to suspend and pick up at a later date or time, we'll do that.
Okay, but in general, for the general public?
For the general public, yes, listen, if you don't have to be out, don't. Right? We have our cooling centers that are open. Take advantage of those. Make sure that you're checking on your elderly neighbors. We want people to be doing that. People that you know, they may need a little help in your neighborhood. Check on those folks. Make sure that they have what they need. And obviously, make sure that if you don't have to go out, don't go out and be out in that extreme heat.
There were some questions earlier this year about why the number of complaints that were reaching the Civilian Review Board were decreasing. I guess, do you know what's behind that? And then also, like, how important is this route of investigating potential police misconduct?
Well, I think every route is important, right? And I think that we've seen a lot of improvement, but we know we have a long way to go. If you go back and look at 2015 versus where we are now, you've seen an extensive level of improvement with how we're dealing with all of these things. But we have a long way to go, and that's what these folks are going to help us do. I'll let the director talk about the nuances of cases and how they're moving with those, but there's been a lot of progress made.
Sure. As you know, the Maryland Police Accountability Act of 2021 shifted a lot, and a lot of focus is not just in Baltimore, like the Civilian Review Board, which has existed since 1999. This is across the whole state. So with the Police Accountability Board and the Administrative Charging Committee, a lot of attention and focus has been on that. However, the work of the Civilian Review Board remains important. As you see today, we want to make sure that it is equipped to be able to hear the cases that come through that venue. Additionally, we have a complaint intake specialist that we just hired that is going to help triage complaints, to help complainants know what forum is best for the complaint that they have. So we're working in the Office of Equity and Civil Rights through the Police Accountability Division to make sure that all complaints are being heard and being heard by the right entity.
Vance? All right, thank you, everybody. We'll take the photo.